ಪಟ್ಟಾಭಿರಾಮ ಪಾಹಿ ಪಟ್ಟಾಭಿರಾಮ. ಕೋದಂಡರಾಮ ಪಾಹಿ ಕೋದಂಡರಾಮ. ಪಟ್ಟಾಭಿರಾಮ ಪಾಹಿ ಪಟ್ಟಾಭಿರಾಮ. दशरथ सुत प्रभो राजा राम. कौसल्य सुत विभो सीताराम. जानकी जीवन राजा राम. ज्ञान गोचर सीताराम. कोदंड राम पाहि कोदंड राम. पट्टाभिराम पाहि पट्टाभिराम. पट्टाभिराम पाहि पट्टाभिराम. श्याम शरीरा राजा राम. कामितार्थप्रद सीताराम. इनकुल तिलकने राजा राम. घन महिमामय सीताराम. कोदंड राम पाहि कोदंड राम. पट्टाभिराम पाहि पट्टाभिराम. पट्टाभिराम पाहि पट्टाभिराम. रावणनाशक राजा राम. विभीषण पालक सीताराम. हनुमद्वंदित राजा राम. मनुकुलोत्तम सीताराम. कोदंड राम पाहि कोदंड राम. पट्टाभिराम पाहि पट्टाभिराम. पट्टाभिराम पाहि पट्टाभिराम. रामसुत्रामा राक्षस भीमा. रामनिसीमा रविकुल सोमा. रामसुत्रामा राक्षस भीमा. रामनिसीमा रविकुल सोमा. शेषशयन हरि राजा राम. केशवदासनुत सीताराम. कोदंड राम पाहि कोदंड राम. पट्टाभिराम पाहि पट्टाभिराम. कोदंड राम पाहि कोदंड राम. पट्टाभिराम पाहि पट्टाभिराम. पट्टाभिराम पाहि पट्टाभिराम. पट्टाभिराम पाहि पट्टाभिराम.
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ अथाश्वलायनः भगवन्तं परमेष्ठिनम् उपसमेत्योवाच अधीहि भगवन् ब्रह्म विद्यां वरिष्ठां सदा सद्भिः सेव्यमानां निगूढां यया चिरात् सर्वपापं व्यपोह्य परात्परं पुरुषं याति विद्वान् तस्मै स होवाच पितामहश्च न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानशुः परेण नाकं निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते यतयो विशन्ति वेदान्तविज्ञानसुनिश्चितार्थाः सन्न्यासयोगाद्यतयः शुद्धसत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोकेषु परान्तकाले परामृतात् परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे विविक्तदेशे च सुखासनस्थः शुचिः समग्रीव शिरः शरीरः अत्याश्रमस्थः सकलेन्द्रियाणि हृत्पुण्डरीकं विरजं विशुद्धं विचिन्त्य मध्ये विशदं विशोकम् अचिन्त्यमव्यक्तमनन्तरूपं शिवं प्रशान्तममृतं ब्रह्मयोनिं तथादिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकं विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम् उमासहायं परमेश्वरं प्रभुं त्रिलोचनं नीलकण्ठं प्रशान्तं ध्यात्वा मुनिर्गच्छति भूतयोनिं समस्तसाक्षिं तमसः परस्तात्। Yes. So in this Upanishad, the great Rishi Ashwalayana approaches Lord Brahmaji and seeks spiritual wisdom. So yesterday we were discussing about Antaranga Sadhana. At the seat of meditation, what are we supposed to do? Vivikta deshe, choose a solitary place. Make yourself comfortable, sukhasanastaha. Choose a place which is clean, spiritually and physically clean. And of course, be physically clean. And then sit straight. Samagriva shirashariraha. And then, after controlling all the sense organs, keeping God as the highest goal of life, filling your heart with devotion and love for the teacher, for the knowledge. And then what has to do? One has to meditate upon the ultimate truth. Achintyam, avyaktam, anantam, shivam, prashantam, amrutam. But suppose you find it difficult, then what has to be done? Start with Saguna Upāsanā. Saguna Brahma. Saguna Brahma means meditate on your Ishta-devatā. All the scriptures, all the Mahatmas, they advise us to start with an Ishta-devatā. It can be with form or without form. But when you meditate on Ishta-devatā, what you are trying to meditate on is the virtues, the qualities, the noble virtues that the Ishta-devatā is filled with. So here also, now here the Ishta-devatā is taken as Lord Shiva. So what is being said? Umasahayam Parameshwaram, that Supreme Lord, Lord Shiva, along with Uma, Parvati. And how is this Shiva? Prabhum. He is Parameshwara. Parameshwara means the one who rules over everyone. Parama Ishvara. Prabhu, all powerful. Trilochanam, with 3 eyes. Neelakantham, blue-necked. Prashantam, peaceful. So meditate on these virtues of the Lord. So what is the virtue? He is all powerful. He controls everyone. And now the term used is Trilochanam, 3-eyed. Now what is the spiritual significance of 3 eyes? One eye represents the eye of love. The second eye represents the eye of justice. So that Lord which is ruling the whole world through these 2. One is with love, the other is with justice. So whenever he is loving, he is soft. But whenever justice prevails, he is hard, he is strict. If you want to bring up the child well, both these are necessary. On one side, you should love the child. On the other side, you should be strict with the child. Both are necessary. Only pampering the child will get spoiled. Only being strict, again he will not grow. Both are necessary. So the common example given is how you make the pot. So that wheel rotates. So what does the potter do? He uses both the hands, isn't it? With one hand he supports the mud. With the other hand he beats the mud into shape. So one is the hand of love. The other is the hand of strictness. The hand of law. Right. So just like a father or a mother brings up the children, how? With love, with strictness. In the same way, the Lord is taking care of the whole world. But when to use love and when to be strict, So for that, you need the third eye. The third eye is the eye of wisdom. With the eye of wisdom, you determine when to love and when to be strict, when to be just. So Lord is infinitely just, at the same time infinitely loving and compassionate. So when you meditate on Lord Shiva, bring in all these virtues of your Ishta-devatā. So what happens when you meditate on good virtues? When you meditate on that, your heart starts reverberating with those values. Your heart becomes filled with noble values. Whenever you meditate on a value, your heart picks up. It starts resonating in the same frequency. You meditate on good, heart becomes good. You meditate on bad, the heart becomes bad. So fill in your heart with all the noble virtues that Supreme Lord possesses. Trilochanam. Then Neelakantham. Neelakantham, blue-necked. So I am sure all of you must be knowing the story. So that Parvata, what is that Parvata called? Mandara. That Parvata was being churned by the Devatas and the Asuras. And what was the rope? Vasuki was the snake which was used as the rope to churn the mountain. When all good things came, everybody was running to get it, to possess it. But at last, when that halahala vesha, poison came, everybody ran away. Isn't it? Because that poison was so powerful that even one drop could destroy the whole world, burn the whole world. That was the kind of poison. Only one person could take it, and that was Lord Shiva. So what did he do? He just came, did not allow it to drop on the earth. He just took it and consumed. Isn't it? So what it shows is his power of protection. The Lord who could protect the whole world from even the greatest calamities. For him, even the greatest crisis is only but a situation. And now he is wearing that poison as, what you call, that poison is adoring his neck as a necklace. Isn't it? It was never a problem to him. It was a mere situation for him. Meaning, the ultimate protective power of the Lord. Puja Guruji used to say, never tell your God how big your problem is. Tell your problem how big your God is. So, Bhagavan is all powerful. Anything is possible for him. So, Neelakantham should remind you of that. So this is the way you develop love, you develop relationship with your Ishta-devatā. Remembering all the Leelas, remembering his power, his compassion, his love, and remembering all the instances in your life where you have been protected, saved, guided, comforted, consoled. All those instances when you bring, there develops a tremendous amount of positive surge of emotions. And all the negativities of the heart is flushed clean in the tears of your love. Once such a heart is prepared, then that Hrit Pundarikam becomes fully blossomed. In such a blossomed heart, the knowledge can sprout. Right? So then what you have to do, once the heart has been prepared, dhyatva, then become a munihi. Muni means contemplative person. Mananashilavan is called a muni. Start contemplating upon the higher, the greater truths of life. So then as you start contemplating on the higher, based on the knowledge of the scriptures, based on the Vedantic knowledge, you come to know that this Lord Shiva, your Ishta-devatā, is none other than your own self. As you become more and more mature in your devotion, in your knowledge, in your sadhana, slowly, slowly the distance between your Ishta-devatā and yourself starts coming down. And what is the ultimate state? The ultimate state is when you come to know that that Ishta-devatā whom you are worshipping till now, considering him as separate from you, far away from you, different from you, that Ishta-devatā is none other than my own self. So, dhyatva munir gacchati. Where does he go? Bhutayonim. That Ishta-devatā becomes Bhutayoni. Yoni means source. The source of all beings. Which is nothing but the self. The pure consciousness. Which is samasta sakshim. Which is the witness. The ultimate witness present in every one of us. And which is tamasaha parastat. Which is beyond tamas. Beyond prakriti. Beyond Māyā. Beyond matter. He comes to know that this Supreme Lord is none other than the consciousness in me, which is different from tamas. Body, mind, intellect is called tamas, prakriti. So in our Puranas, everything is brought out in a beautiful story form. So you might have seen this Ardhanarishwara. Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram. Ardhanarishwara. What is this Ardhanarishwara? Half man, half woman. But what does it mean? It is nothing but Shiva represents consciousness and Parvati represents matter. So the whole world is nothing but the play of consciousness and matter. This is the meaning. So everything has been put in a story form. But as one becomes more and more pure in heart, one is able to understand the deeper truth. So this way one understands that this Lord is none other than my own self. Not only that he is my own self, he is everything. So the next verse. Sabrahma sashivasendraha Soksharaf paramaswarat Sa eva Vishnu sapranaha Sakalognis sachandramaha Sa eva sarvam yadbhutam Yaccha bhavyam sanatanam Nyatva tam mrityumatyeti Nanyaf pantha vimuktaye Sarvabhutasthamatmanam Sarvabhutani chatmani Sampashyan brahma paramam Yati nanyena hetuna Sabrahma sashivasendraha Soksharaf paramaswarat Sa eva Vishnu sapranaha Sakalognis sachandramaha Sa eva sarvam yadbhutam Yaccha bhavyam sanatanam Nyatva tam mrityumatyeti Nanyaf pantha vimuktaye Sarvabhutasthamatmanam Sampashyan brahma paramam Yati nanyena hetuna. Yes. The moment you come to know yourself as you are, your own higher nature, which is this pure consciousness, all the mysteries of the universe, they dissolve, they disappear. You come to know that this very same self, the consciousness, itself has become everything. Sa eva Brahma, Sab Brahma, he himself is Brahma. Sa Shivaha, he himself is Shiva. Sa Indraha, He is the Indra-devata. Sa Aksharaha is the imperishable. Paramaha, the supreme, absolute. Swarat, self-effulgent. Sa eva Vishnuhu, he himself is Vishnu. Sa Pranaha, he is the very vital energies in us. Sa Kalaha, he is the time. Agnihi, fire. Chandramaha, moon. How long to extend this list? Therefore it is said, Sa eva sarvam, everything is he. How much to tell? Everything is he. Yad bhutam, whatever was in the past, present, bhavyam, future, sanatanam. Whatever was, is and will be. Everything is he himself. And who is he? My own self. There is nothing other than me, in short. Right? Jnatva tam, knowing him, mrityum atyeti, he goes beyond death. Na anyaf pantha vimuktaye, there is no other go. In order to get liberated, there is only one way, and that way is to know him as your own self. In short, knowing oneself is the only way to become immortal. Na anyaf pantha. This self is already immortal. What is the nature of this consciousness? It is Sat, isn't it? Sat Chit Ananda it is. Sat. Sat means existence. So once you come to know yourself as this absolute existence, pure existence, that existence can never become non-existent. Death is what? Non-existence. So once you come to know yourself as existence, then there is no more death for you. So all the problems in life is only and only because we don't know who we are. So Brahmaji keeps his finger right where the problem is. Na anyaf pantha vimukta. You try any other way, nothing is going to work. So what should be the highest priority in life? Know thyself. All problems are because we don't know who we are. All the problems end the moment we come to know who we are. Now what is the glory of this self? Sarva bhutastham atmanam. This self is there in all the beings. Nobody can say, no, the self is not in me. How will I realize? Everybody is none other than the self alone, that truth alone, God alone. Everybody. Sarva bhutastham. He is there, staying. The self is present in everyone. Sarva bhutani cha atmani. Self is present in everyone. Everyone is existing in the self. Now this usage you might have seen in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita might have copied from this Upanishad. Self exists in all beings and all beings exist in the self. This is a usage. What does it mean? If you have to satisfy this condition, A existing in B and B existing in A simultaneously, then one of them have to be unreal. Then alone it is possible. Let us take one example. Ornaments existing in gold. Is it fine? Yes. Gold existing in ornament. That is also fine? Yes. It is possible because there is nothing called ornament. There is only one thing called gold. Ornament is the name of a form. By itself it has no existence. What exists is only gold. Chair existing in wood. Yes. Wood existing in chair. Both are possible because chair is only the name of a form. What exists is only wood. Right? Wave existing in water. water existing in wave? It is possible, because wave is only the name of a form of water. By itself, wave has no existence. In the same way, self existing in all beings and all beings existing in self. So which is unreal now? No, don't say all. All beings are unreal. What exists is only self. You understood? It is the self alone which exists. We have misunderstood the self as something different. This is our problem. Sarvabhutastham atmanam sarvabhutani chatmani, knowing oneself as this supreme self, as this pure consciousness. Sampashyan, knowing this way, what happens to him? Paramam brahmayati, he attains a supreme Brahman, which is the nature of the self. Na anyena hetuna, there is no other way. Again and again, Brahmaji is hammering. There is only one way to end your suffering, and that is to know yourself as pure self. Right? But Bhagavan, please tell me how to know this. Now the technique is given. Technique of how to meditate. Now we are going to enter into the deeper philosophical aspects of this Upanishad. Next verse. Atmanamaranim krutva pranavam chottaranim jnana nirmathanabhyasat pāṣam dahati panditah atmanamaranim krutva pranavam chottaranim jnana nirmathanabhyasat pāṣam dahati panditah. Yes. So here one example is given. A simile is given. It is a simile of how in the Vedic times the fire was produced. So they used to have this ARNI. So what used to be there in ARNI? There used to be a lower cup. It's called Adho ARNI. And there is a rod, wooden rod. So a cup, a wooden cup with a small hole in it. And in that hole, they used to insert one stick. So the stick along with the upper cup, it is called as Uttara ARNI. So in that stick, they wound one, what you call rope, and then churn it. So when churning happens, what happens? This stick, that stick rotates on that hole in the lower cup, and because of rotation, so the lower cup is fixed firmly. So because of friction, what happens? Sparks are generated, and they would put some cotton, some dry leaf, etc., so that the spark can catch fire, and that is how they used to create fire. Right? Churning and then creating fire. So now the same example is used here. What is being said? Atmanam aranim krutva. Make this lower cup as your Atma. Here Atma doesn't mean the Supreme Self. Here it means our mind. Because now the churning has to begin. You have to do Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. That is the churning here. So the lower cup is your mind. What is the upper cup? The stick. Pranavam cha uttararanim. Let it be the pranava. What is pranava? Omkara. Make Omkara as the uttararani. Make your steady, stable mind as the adho arani. And then what you have to do? Mathana abhyasam. What kind of mathanam? Jnana nirmathana abhyasam. Mathana means churning. Now you have to do the churning. And once the churning is done, fire will be produced, and then that fire will Pāṣam dahati panditaha. The wise person, he burns all the bondages. Pāṣam means rope. That rope, bondage, which has restricted his freedom, which has bound him to this world, that rope is burnt in that fire of knowledge. Now here, knowledge is equated to what? Fire. In very many places, we find spiritual knowledge is equated to fire. So what are the similarities you find? There are very many similarities. One similarity is, in the dark room, suppose you light a fire. You don't know where things are, etc. When the fire is lit, what happens? Physical darkness is destroyed, isn't it? In the same way, the knowledge of the self destroys the darkness of ignorance. So both of them do the same function. What is it? Destroying darkness. Fire destroys physical darkness. Knowledge destroys the darkness of ignorance. Ajnana timirandha. Right. Second thing, you don't need another light to see fire. Fire is self-illumining. In the same way, the Supreme Self is also of the nature of consciousness. It knows itself. Do you need anything else to know the Self? You don't need your mind, you don't need your eyes, ears, nothing. It knows itself by itself. That is the nature of consciousness. Consciousness knows itself. Why? Because knowing is its nature. When knowing is its nature, what does it mean? It doesn't need anything else to know itself. So this is another similarity between fire and knowledge, jnana. Third one, what is the direction in which the fire go? Upwards. So a knowledgeable person also goes higher and higher in the ladder of evolution. Right. What is the end result of anything that has gone through fire? The end result is only one: ash. Isn't it? In the same way, what is the end result of anything that goes through knowledge? Anyone who has gone through knowledge, the end result is non-duality, advaita. The person who gains knowledge, what does he see? He sees him alone everywhere. Saeva sarvam, isn't it? Yad bhutam, yad bhavyam, sanatanam. The end result of knowledge is oneness, non-duality. Just like fire. Right? What else? Fire can catch only a dry thing. A wet thing, fire cannot catch. In the same way, the mind dried with dispassion alone can gain knowledge. Right? Now another thing. Have you seen the metal being purified by fire? For example, gold, etc. When the gold, how do they purify? They purify it by sending it through hot furnace. So fire is a means of purification. In the same way, a person who goes through jnana agni, he comes out purified. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate. Greatest purifier is jnana. Right. Now another thing. This process of generating fire in the Vedic times, it is done by churning, isn't it? In the same way, jnana agni also is generated out of churning through shravana, manana, nididhyasana. Another one. What is it? In the beginning, when you churn, only sparks come, isn't it? Slowly, 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 the sparks become a steady fire. In the same way, jnana also comes in the same way. Directly, you don't get fire. Stage by stage, slowly, slowly, you start getting glimpses of knowledge in the beginning. Doubts get cleared. You start getting glimpses of the higher. Now and then, now and then. Slowly, 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 the spark starts increasing. And then it becomes a steady fire. Those who have attended Upadesha Sāra, which is that verse which says that Ajyadharaya Shrotasa samam Sarala chintanam Virala param. So there Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi mentions about two types of meditation. What are they? Virala chintanam and Sarala chintanam. In the beginning, the chintanam is viralam, interrupted, unsteady, broken. But later on, the very same Virala becomes Sarala, continuous, steady, like the flow of ghee. So too with knowledge also. As you start doing mathana more and more, slowly, the clarity comes. Slowly, the abidance becomes firm and deep. It takes its own time. Right? Just like this fire. So this way, in very many aspects, the fire can be compared with knowledge. Now what is being said here? Make your mind the lower ARNI. So that has to remain firm and stable. It should not rotate. Suppose that also rotates, then what happens? Along with the stick, if the lower cup also starts rotating, no fire can come. That has to remain steady and stable. So in the same way, our mind has to be steady, focused, pure, concentrated. Then this churning has to be done. What is the rod? Pranavam, Omkara. Now the entire discussion is going to revolve around this concept. Now what is this Pranava? This Pranava is Om. Now what is this Om? It contains three matras. What are they? A, U, Right, three. There are very many meanings, but here let us take A as the waking state, U as the dream state, as the deep sleep state, the three states. And then comes a silence which is called as Amatra Om, the silence, which represents consciousness. Right? So what is being said? Brahmaji says, now you analyze your experience, day-to-day experience, in the light of scriptural knowledge. So what is the mathanam to be done? Your own life, whatever experiences you have gone through in the waking, dream and deep sleep, analyze your experience in the light of Vedic knowledge. This is what is being said when it is said, do the churning with Pranava. Now how to do? Naturally the question comes, how to do? Brahmaji himself gives the detail. So the next verse talks about waking state. In the waking state, what is our experience? The next verse. Sa eva Māyā parimohitātmā Sharirāmasthāya karoti sarvam Striyannapānādi vichitra bhogaihi Sa eva jagrat paritruptimeti Sa eva Māyā parimohitātmā Sharirāmasthāya karoti sarvam Striyannapānādi vichitra bhogaihi Sa eva jagrat paritruptimeti. So the first, Brahmaji takes up waking state. So in waking state, what happens? Saeva. Saeva means that alone, he alone. Who? That Supreme Lord, who is Satchidananda Atma, who is infinite, immortal, blissful, that Supreme Bhagavan himself. Saeva, he only. Māyā parimohitātma, totally deluded Parimohita. Totally deluded by what? Māyā, Prakriti, matter. Now what is his name? Parimohitatma or Jivatma. That Paramatma, being deluded by Prakriti, now has become Jivatma. Remember the fundamentals. That very same consciousness identified with matter is Jivatma. Consciousness by itself is Paramatma. But the moment consciousness identifies with matter, what is born? Crying, weeping, Jivatma is born. Right? So what is identification theory? Whenever consciousness identifies with matter, it experiences the properties of matter and not the properties of consciousness. What is the property of consciousness? It is infinite, it is immortal, it is blissful, it is perfect, it is everything. But the moment it identifies with the matter, now what will it experience? Limitation, imperfection, finitude, suffering. Correct? So Saeva, the very same truth, the very same self, after having deluded by Māyā, totally deluded, now it has become a Jivatma. What is the condition? Shariram asthaya karoti sarvam. Now it is totally identified with Sharira, body. Right? Consciousness identified with the body, Shariram asthaya, taking itself to be the body. Now what does it do? Karoti sarvam. It does all. What is the nature of consciousness? If you remember the 15 pointers, what is the 14th pointer? Akarta, isn't it? Non-doer. What is the nature of consciousness? It is non-doer. But the moment it identifies with the matter, what does it become? Karoti sarvam. It becomes karta. Got it? Akarta becomes karta. Consciousness by itself doesn't do anything. What is the nature of consciousness? It just lends sentiency to the body-mind complex. Body is alive, mind is alive because of consciousness. Body and mind, they themselves don't have any life because it is matter, it is jada. Then how does it appear full of life? Body appears to have life because it has borrowed sentiency from consciousness. Right? These are the fundamentals which should be very clear. All the actions belong to the body, it doesn't belong to the consciousness. But now when consciousness identifies with the body, actions of the body as though appear actions of the consciousness. Properties get shifted as though. Does consciousness do anything? It does nothing. Now because of identification, it appears as though consciousness is doing something. Fire cooks food. Is there an action involved? Fire cooks food. Is there an action involved? Is there a verb involved? A doing involved? Is there a conscious doing involved? No. In the presence of fire, food is being cooked. Is the fire doing cooking? There is no doing cooking. Fire doesn't even know that food is being cooked. Isn't it? It is the nature of the fire to give heat. It is not doing anything. In its presence, heat is present. That's all. It is not a doing. It is not an action. It is not a verb. Bird is flying. That flying is a doing. Bird has the choice whether to fly or not to fly. But does the fire have a choice? Give heat or not to give heat? There is no choice there. It is the nature of the fire to give heat. It is his nature. It is the nature of the sun to give light. It is the nature of the sun to give heat. It is the nature of the sugar to give sweetness. They are all nature. Nature means what? There is no doing involved. In the same way, it is the nature of consciousness to give sentiency to body-mind complex. Is the consciousness doing anything? It is not doing. In its presence, body and mind become sentient. Is the idea clear? Swabhavastu pravartate. Everything has its swabhava. They do according to their swabhava. Mirror reflects. Is there any doing? There is no doing. There is only being. Reflecting is the nature of the mirror. It is a swabhava. What is the nature of the body? Doing, action is the nature of the body. It is swabhava. What is the nature of the mind? Feeling is the nature of the mind. What is the nature of the intellect? Thinking is the nature of the intellect. It is their swabhava. So when consciousness comes in proximity with the BMI, the body functions, mind functions, intellect functions. Is the consciousness doing, thinking or feeling? No. In the presence of consciousness, mind does action. Mind feels, intellect thinks, body performs action. This is a fact. But now when the identification happens, when consciousness identifies with the body, the properties of the body become as though the properties of consciousness. What is the property of the body? It is performing action. Now the consciousness, having identified with the body, thinks it is performing action. The moment identification is born, karta is born, kartrutva is born. Sense of doership is born, doer is born. So who gives birth to the doer? Identification. So consciousness identified with the acting body becomes the doer, karta. Now once this consciousness becomes karta, he has no choice, he has to become bhokta. Doer alone has to become enjoyer. So see the next line. Striyannapanadi vichitra bhogaihi. Now what is happening? He has become bhokta, enjoyer. What all things he is enjoying? There are so many things. Now this is just a usage. Stri, women. Anna, food. Pana, drink. All the worldly pleasures. So now this consciousness identified with Prakriti, Parimohitatma, he has become a Jivatma. Now after having become Jivatma, now he is a Karta. Now he has become a Bhokta. Now the chain continues. Karta, Karma, Karmaphala, Bhokta. Again after enjoying it, again Karma, Karmaphala, gone. Bas. The cycle begins. Right? Now the question is, why did he become Karta? Of course, through identification. Now what is the purpose of all this bhoga? Saeva jagrat paritruptimeti. In the waking state, he is trying to fulfill his desires. He attains sense gratification. The moment consciousness identifies with BMI, that identified consciousness no more experiences the blissful state which is its innate nature. What does it experience? The imperfections of BMI. So therefore it is no more happy, no more joyful, contented. Contentment is not there, happiness is not there. Now it projects happiness to be in the outer world. Now it is chasing. So in the language of Bhagavan Shankaracharya, first comes avidya, ignorance about my own nature. Then comes kama, desire. In vidya, desire cannot be there. Desire means, what is desire? Desire means it's nothing but desire for happiness. Every desire is desire for happiness. The moment I don't know myself, then comes avidya. From avidya comes kama, desire. Desire to be happy. Why there is a desire for happiness? There is a desire for happiness because now I am not happy. Why am I not happy now? Now I am not happy because of identification with BMI. I am no more experiencing my Ananda Swarupa because of identification. So from avidya comes kama, from kama, desire comes karma, action. Once you have a desire, desire will definitely lead to action in the outer world. From karma comes karma phala, results. Then comes karma phala bhoga. And this cycle repeats. Karma, karma phala, again punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. So this is what is happening in the waking state. Right? Now what happens in the dream state? Next verse. Swapne sajiva sukha dukkha bhokta Swamāyaya kalpita jiva loke Sushupti kale sakale viline Tamo bhibhuta sukharupameti Swapne sajiva sukha dukkha bhokta Swamāyaya kalpita jiva loke Sushupti kale sakale viline Tamo bhibhuta sukharupameti. So in this verse, both dream state and deep sleep state is mentioned. Swapne, in the dream, what happened? Sajivaha, that jiva. Sukha dukkha bhokta. He becomes the enjoyer of sukha and dukkha, joys and sorrows. But in which world? Swamāyaya kalpita jiva loke. Now which loka is in? Jiva loka, the world created by himself. Swamāyaya, by his own mind. In Tattva Bodha, there is a definition of Swapnavastha. Jagrat avasthayam yat drishtam yat shrutam tat janita vasanaya nidra samaye yaf prapanchaf pratiyate sa swapnavastha. What is this dream state? Jagrat avasthayam. So, the material for the dream comes from the waking state only. Jagrat avasthayam yat drishtam yat shrutam. Whatever you have seen, whatever you have heard, tad janita vasanaya. So, whatever you have seen, heard, experienced, everything, it has created some impressions in your mind. So what all impressions have been created in the waking state, with those impressions, nidra samaye, in the sleep, yaf prapancha pratiyate. Mind creates a world. What is the material for this world? The dream world material comes from the waking world only. The suppressions and repressions of the mind in the waking world, those suppressions are released in the dream world, in the dream state. You can never see that which you have never experienced in the dream, in the waking. You can never see in the dream that which you have never experienced in the waking state. It may be a mix of so many things. It may be a total confusion, but whatever you see in the dream, you must have experienced in the waking. So you see an aeroplane flying. Fine. You see a girl walking with churidar. You see an elephant. So in the dream you will find an elephant wearing the churidar and flying. Right? The point is, everything you have seen, it will be a mix of so many things. That's a different thing. Right? So what is happening is the impression which has been created in the waking state. Now remember here, the world may be same, but different individuals gather different impressions according to their likes and dislikes. The world is the same, situations are same, but everyone according to their thought patterns will gather a particular set of impressions. Isn't it? Now this is the world. Here am I talking to you. There are so many listeners. Now what is going on in your mind, I don't know. Some of them are there, true listeners. They are truly listening to Vedanta, understanding. There will be someone. What happened to this fellow? At this young age he has come. This is the age when he should work hard and earn money and have family. Because what is this fellow doing here? Maybe a failure in life. A total failure, therefore he must have come here. These may be the thoughts. Now the world is the same. One person is gaining the Vedantic knowledge. The other person is having different set of thoughts. So accordingly an impression is created, and accordingly in the dream you will find, isn't it? What kind of thoughts you are having when you are exposed to this waking world, those thoughts will determine your dream world. Tad janita vasanaya. So here the term used is swamayaya kalpita jiva loke. What kind of loka it is? Not Ishvara loka, it is jiva loka. Jiva has created this. So what kind of dream will a thief see? A thief in the dream, he will find police chasing him. He is hiding here and there. Because that's what he has done throughout. A person who has been attending satsang and study and this and that, what kind of dream he will see? He will see the dream of Mahatmas coming and visiting him, isn't it? So that is where this dream analysis come into picture. You can analyze your dream and find out what kind of ragadveshas you are having. Where does the mind go? Your dream analysis can reveal so many secrets about your innermost vasanas. Right. So in the waking world, you are gathering information. It is called as video cassette recorder. Recording is happening. And in the dream, what is happening? Video cassette player, VCP is happening. You are playing out. There are so many things which you can't do it in the public, in the waking world. So many desires are there, hidden, suppressed. All those suppressed desires get a vent in the dream state. Now the mind is released. Mind is free, relaxed. Right? So this is what is happening in the dream state. Again projected by the mind. And what happens in the deep sleep? Sushupti kale, sakale viline. Everything gets dissolved in the deep sleep. Tamobhibhutaha, overpowered by tamas. What happens? Sukharupameti. Blissfully you are unaware of everything. Total sleep. Many people come and attend satsang because they don't get proper sleep in the night. When you listen to this Upanishad and all, one good thing happens. What is that? If you don't understand, you get nice sleep. So sometimes they come and say, Swamiji, your talk was excellent. Means what? So we say, yeah, at least you are benefited in some way. Good. The ananda which we are talking, he experiences it. Tamobhibhutaha sukharupam. It is of the nature of bliss, happiness, peace. Right. So, waking, dream, de-sleep analysis over. But why should we know this? Now Brahmaji tells something very important. Let us see the next one, 14th one. Punascha janmantara karma yogat sa eva jiva swapiti prabuddhaha Puratraye kridati yascha jivaha Tatastu jatam sakalam vichitram Adharamanandam akhanda bodham Yasmin layam yati puratrayam cha Punascha janmantara karma yogat sa eva jiva swapiti prabuddhaha Puratraye kridati yascha jivaha Tatastu jatam sakalam vichitram Adharamanandam akhanda bodham Yasmin layam yati puratrayam cha. Yes. So this person goes through waking, dream and deep sleep. But after that what? Punascha, again. He has no choice. He has to get up. Can we continue sleeping on and on and on? Sorry, punascha. He has to get up. Janmantara karma yoga. In so many lives he has done so many karmas. Those karma phalas are waiting. Those karma phalas can go only by enjoying it, going through it. Exhaustion happens only by enjoyment. So, Janmantara, here karma yoga doesn't mean that karma yoga. Karma yoga means association with the past karma. Because of the, here we can say prarabdha karma. Because of the prarabdha karma, punaha gets up again. Sa eva jiva swapiti prabuddhaha. Again he goes through waking, dream, deep sleep. It doesn't end. The cycle continues. So why do we get up early in the morning? Don't say it is because of alarm. Your own prarabdha karma is waking you up. Even if you want to sleep, you can't. Because there are so many karma phalas waiting. You have to go through those karma phalas. Therefore, those karma phalas will wake you up. Right? Again, he goes through the same cycle. Waking, dream and deep sleep. This way, Puratraye kridati yascha jivaha. This jiva is kridati. He is playing. Where is he playing? He is sporting. Puratraye. In the three puras, in the three cities. What are the three cities? It can be the waking, dream or deep sleep. But if you are taking off the body, if you are considering the body, then he is playing in the gross, subtle and causal bodies. So in the waking state, gross body is active. In the dream state, subtle body is active. Sukshma sharira. Gross body means sthula sharira, physical body. Subtle body means sukshma sharira. And causal body means karana sharira. In deep sleep, which body is active? Karana sharira is active. So he is playing in the three bodies, in the three states. Who? Saeva. Who is that Sa? That Bhagavan himself. Getting trapped in these cities. Now he is sporting. Now comes a very interesting thing. Now Brahmaji says, whatever he is experiencing, actually it has come from himself. Tatastu jatam, from him alone has come sakalam vichitram, the entire creation. The varied form of the creation has come from himself. Who is he? Adharam, anandam, akhanda bodham. He who is akhanda bodham, infinite consciousness, which is adharam, the very support, which is of blissful nature, anandam. Yasmin layam yati puratrayam cha. All the three puras, they arise from him, play in him, dissolve in him. Whom? That Supreme Lord, which is none other than my own self. Now this is where you have to do the churning. So what was earlier said? Atmanam aranim kritva pranavam cha uttararanim. Isn't it? Now using this pranava, you have to do the churning. So what is the churning process? The waking world you are seeing, now see it from the scripture standpoint. In my foolish understanding, I think world is real, I am living in the world, etc. But what does the scripture say? No. The world is seen in your waking mind. It is only a state of mind. What is this waking world? This world is seen in your waking mind. It is existing in your mind. When the mind is in the waking state, you see the world. When the mind is in the dream state, you see the dream world. And when the mind dissolves in the deep sleep, you don't see any world. So what does it mean? Whenever the mind is there, world is there. Whenever the mind is not there, world is not there. What does it mean? Are you in the world or world is in you? This is the point. This is called churning. Using pranava, this is how you churn. Whenever the mind is, world is. Whenever the mind is not, world is not. No, Swamiji, for me the world may not be, but for others it is there. No, but others are seeing where? In their own mind. Everybody is seeing the world where? In the mind. Remember, so who is giving existence for the world? The mind. If the mind is there, world is there. If the mind is not there, world is not there. So therefore, world depends for its existence on the mind. If the mind is waking mind, waking world is there. If the mind is dreaming mind, dream world is there. Waking world will have a waker body, the sthula sharira. The dreaming mind will create a dream body. That's all. Who am I? I am the very support of that mind. Adharam, support. World exists in the mind. Mind, where does it exist? Mind is nothing but thoughts. Where do the thoughts exist? In consciousness, which is me. So who is lending existence to everything? I am the one who is giving existence to everything. What is this waking world? It is nothing but the truth, which is consciousness, distorted by a distorting medium called waking mind. What is waking world? It is nothing but the truth. But the truth distorted by the waking mind, which exists in me. Able to follow? Where do you see the world? In the mind. What is mind? Flow of thoughts. Correct? Mind equal to flow of thoughts. So what is world? Nothing but thoughts. Correct? Because world exists in the mind, mind is nothing but flow of thoughts, so therefore world is nothing but flow of thoughts. Where do the thoughts exist? In consciousness. Because I am conscious of my thoughts. So therefore thoughts exist in consciousness. So what is thought? Nothing but a ripple in consciousness. Correct? So ultimately everything is nothing but consciousness. So when I am seeing a watch here, what gives existence to this watch? What gives existence? Watch is existing in the mind. In the mind, a particular thought flow is there, which has created this form of the watch. This particular thought flow is nothing but existing in consciousness. So what gives existence to this watch? Isness, sat. Existence is given by consciousness. Correct? This watch depends on its existence on me. I exist, therefore the watch exists. What is the nature of consciousness? Sat, existence. Correct? Can anything else have existence other than consciousness? No. So therefore, if something else is existing, what does it mean? It is borrowing existence from consciousness. Are you getting it? The nature of consciousness is existence. If anything else appears to exist, understand it has no its own intrinsic existence. It has borrowed existence from consciousness, which is me. Are you getting it? So what is this world? It appears to be so real, so alive, so much present, real. Understand, it is nothing but consciousness distorted by the distorting medium called mind. Consciousness seen through a distorting mind is this world. Simple. Nothing can exist without me. So who is the adharam for the whole world? Me. You understand? The whole thing has changed. As far as an ignorant person is concerned, for him, I exist in the world. I am a poor fellow, miserable fellow. Someday born, someday I will die. But the world will exist. Vedanta says, without you there is no world. You are the adharam, the very support, the very substratum. Without you, nothing can exist. You become the hero. You see? The whole analysis is changed. So in the waking world, that waking world is projected by the waking mind. The waking mind becomes a dream mind. Dream world is projected. The dream mind becomes no mind. No world is projected. But one thing remains throughout. And what is that? Consciousness. I was the waker. Then I became the dreamer. Then I became the knower of nothing. But that knower remains. That experiencer remains. The one who was experiencing the waking world is the very same one who was dreaming, and he is the very same who is now sleeping. So who is the one who is experiencing all the state? I, the consciousness. So how to know which is the reality? Reality is that which can never be negated, which never comes and goes. What is the proof that something is real? That which can never come and go is real. That which is always is real. Before the movie, screen was. While the movie is going on, screen is. When the movie is over, screen will be. Movie comes and goes, but the wise screen remain. In the same way, the substratum which is consciousness, upon which the waking world, the dream world, the no world, everything is projected, the substratum remains the same. Pay attention to that. So what is this churning? Churning means whenever you see the world, don't give an independent reality to the world. Immediately your attention should go to the consciousness in the light of which the world is seen. Again and again shift your attention. This is the churning. The world has no existence. It borrows existence from me. I am the only one which is independently existent. When I say I, you have to understand this is pure consciousness. So whenever the mind is attracted towards something of the world, immediately withdraw the mind. There is no joy in the world. Joy has to be in me because I am Ananda Swarupa. You understand? Again and again shifting the attention. Again and then what happens? A time comes when this abidance in consciousness becomes your nature. So it really doesn't matter whether the waking world is in front of you or the dream world is in front of you or no world is in front of you. What is there in front of you is what you pay attention to. And what do you pay attention to? Consciousness. So even when you really don't bother which of the states the mind is going through, your constant experience will be consciousness. Even the body is dropped dead, what will be your experience? Consciousness. This is called attaining immortality. This is called going beyond death. Right? Whatever you pay attention to, that you will get. If you pay attention to the changing world, changing mind, you will always find change. Birth and death is nothing but change. You are experiencing change because your attention is in the change. Shift your attention from the changing to the unchanging. Your experience will be constant, changeless substratum, which is pure consciousness. So once you start abiding in that truth, what happens? Your constant experience will be the blissful Satchit Ananda Atma. Even when the body is drop dead, you don't bother about it. Why? Atma is always there as the substratum. Right? So this is called churning using Pranava. More of it we will see tomorrow. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhave Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om